on Worldwide Gaming!
We reveal the top 10 car games. Vince checks out some gear from Thermaltake. I review Fireburst. And a talk back from E3 on Warframe. Hello and welcome to Worldwide Gaming. I'm your host Ryan.
I'm John.
I'm Vince.
And we've got like a little car-themed episode, at least for the first half, Vince. I hear that's your thing.
Yeah, I like cars.
Yeah.
I like cars.
Do you like cars with giant fireballs coming out of them?
Flames down the side.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Just a little hint, Fireburst isn't that good, sorry.
Oh.
But it has explosions.
Yeah.
And cars.
But
all I
unfortunately,
need.
that doesn't help it. But how about we kick it off with our first segment, as always, the forecast.
Sydney should expect a light shower then sun during EB Expo, which starts October 4.
Expo in Australia, jam-packed with all the latest video games, gaming culture, presentations from international guests, and exciting live entertainment. Experience exhibitions of the hottest upcoming and new release video games from the biggest...
A strong wind is blowing into LEGO City. Residents are advised to pick up a copy of LEGO Marvel Superheroes, coming to all consoles and PC October 29.
And the uncanny. Must come together as one.
Temperatures are expected to soar and then drop with snowfall and light showers in Melbourne during the Armageddon Expo at Melbourne Showgrounds October 19.
Live wrestling, music, anime, cosplay costume contests, gaming, and more. Fun for all the family in this pop culture extravaganza. Melbourne Showgrounds, October 19th and 20th.
Racing games seem to fall into one of three categories. You have your simulation games like Gran Turismo, more arcadey titles such as Need for Speed, and finally the Destruction Derby-esque ones. Fireburst falls into the latter category with a focus on frantic racing while destroying your enemies with your car's fire powers. And that's pretty much it. Fireburst may be an Xbox Live arcade game, so some leniency can be given to it, but there isn't much here keeping you interested for more than a few races. In Fireburst, you need to manage using your fire powers and your heat meter while racing. Holding A on your controller will activate one of the 4 powers your car has, spewing fire out the car and also giving your car a boost in speed. Doing this, however, will increase your heat meter, which if full will destroy your car and make you be reset to the track. If you manage to hit your opponents with the fire around your car, however, their heat meter will also increase, potentially destroying them. You can decrease heat by driving through water barrels on the track or puddles on the ground, allowing you to use more of your firepower. Fireburst doesn't have a traditional campaign, instead it has a Fireburst Racing League, which asks you to choose one of 8 hilariously weird characters with terrible voice acting, and compete in a set of challenges to unlock more characters and vehicles for racing. They do a good job of making the challenges interesting, but there are some which are next to impossible to complete, so by the end you'll be very familiar with the retry screen. There is also a destruction mode, which is a more typical destruction derby, where the goal is to destroy 10 opponents in an arena. This mode is a pretty fun distraction, almost so much that it's better than the actual racing. Destruction mode and the regular races can be bought online through matchmaking, however I was unable to test this due to there only being around 50 people who had actually bought the game, if the leaderboards are anything to go by. It feels like Fireburst is trying to hide how ugly it is. When your car is almost about to be destroyed, the game will overlay fire around the screen, which blocks your view of most of the track. Then on the other side, if you drive through water, the game also splashes water on the screen, which gives the same blinding effect. It's kind of a lose-lose situation if you use the only power in the game. Also, if you can see through the lens flare in the ultra-dark areas, all the game's textures look quite grimy, although the cars and characters are a bit more detailed and varied. The menu showing the different tracks you can race on is also presented really well, looking like postcards hung on a wall of deserted rest stop. The soundtrack consists of 6 artists with 15 tracks between them. All of them rock songs about how much they like to go fast and drive. Fireburst only has 2 or 3 songs from that list that they use for the menus, so if you play for any extended period of time, you're bound to hear the same one again and again, which gets annoying, especially if the music isn't to your taste. I encountered quite a weird bug while playing Fireburst. Quite often, but randomly, the game would forget my progress and lock characters and vehicles that are given to you by default. It would also seem to erase any progress made in the Fireburst Racing League mode as well. It was easily fixed though by backing out of the menu and re-entering, but it should have been fixed before the game came out. Fireburst was always doomed as it was up against some of the best racing games in its genre, such as Burnout and Flatout. It falls flat in the general presentation of the game and a lack of any meaningful single player experience. Unfortunately, I cannot recommend this game to anyone and it should be avoided at all costs.
So that was my Fireburst review, guys. As you can see, I didn't like it that much. What do you guys think?
Terrible.
Yeah, it really does. Although, I mean, I don't know, cars and explosions, you think you couldn't screw that up.
The problem with that though is they try to like get the same feeling as like the Burnout Crash mode and also Flatout, which is one of my favorite racing games, but they just don't.
It seems to me like they tried to do too much.
Yeah.
They should have focused on one part. Like they should have focused on the racing or focused on the demolition side, and that would have been a really good game. But I think trying to incorporate too much, like that's a problem. But honestly, the bugs, that's stupid. Like there's no excuse for that.
Yeah.
And that's just ridiculous.
Also, some of the characters are a bit odd. Like
That was just weird.
Odd characters I don't mind so much. You know, that's just quirky parts of the game, you know what I mean?
Luckily, you didn't actually have to hear what they sound like though. Some of them are so
true.
bad. Like,
But I mean, do you remember Crazy Taxi?
yeah, but
Yeah. That game.
Characters in that.
Fireburst came out like what, a month ago now.
Yeah, true.
Can you really? You can't really excuse it from that.
Yeah. Yeah. I suppose,
Like John said, they've tried to put too much into it, but at the same time, there's not enough in it.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of, I don't know.
And the
I don't know
50
where to go
people
from
that
there.
actually own the game. So.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
All right, so we're actually going to continue our car theme after the break. Stay tuned for John's Top 10.